Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Twilight Zone. More specifically about one of the most popular and probably best 1-hour episodes from the Twilight Zone called The Printer's Devil. Now this is from season 4, it's episode 9, and it aired February of 1963. If you like what I'm doing here, a great way to support my channel is through Patreon. Links are in the description, as well as liking, commenting, and subscribing. Those are free ways that you can support the channel, and it really does mean so much. Now in the episode The Printer's Devil, we have a man who sells his soul to the devil, played by Burgess Meredith here. And this man is doing this to save his failing newspaper. But unfortunately, making a deal with this man is not too smart, because this man, as he does not know, thinking it is Mr. Smith, but in fact it is not. It is the devil himself, and unfortunately a lot of bad things start to happen around him, and this man's fortune starts to improve. He starts to do a lot better, while everyone else around him starts to have tragic things happen to them. And the man has to decide what to do, whether he should basically continue this deal with this crazy mysterious man, or maybe break it and save himself and those that he loves around him. It's a pretty crazy and well thought out story. What I really like about it is that the hour-long episodes, which aren't well regarded by many people, it in fact gives this episode the time to grow, and it does help to its strengths, although other episodes hour-long aren't that great. But let's get right to it and talk about the opening scene where we see Burgess Meredith and his character, Mr. Smith, or the devil, present himself to the first main character, or to essentially Douglas Winter. It's really interesting to see that he appears in this foggy night while Mr. Winter is about to end his life, and he kind of stops him and he starts talking to him and he asks him for a light. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a light, so Mr. Smith, the devil, basically looks around and tries to find some type of match. He doesn't really have anything, and then he decides, I don't really need anything, and he essentially snaps his finger, or pops his finger from his fist, and it just lights. His finger actually lights on fire, and that is what he uses to light the cigar. Now what's really cool about it is that it makes the audience know that, hey, boom, this is the devil, but the characters don't know. As is where other stories of the Twilight Zone, we don't even know it's a devil to the end and so forth. So it's really cool. It's kind of a cool play where the audience is in on it. But what's really interesting is how they did this effect. Two things you will notice. Number one is before Burgess Meredith pops out his finger, you can see that it is wet. I mean, it is wet, moist. There's some type of fluid on it, and I'll describe what exactly that is. It's in fact very interesting. And there's also a wire. I caught this here. Check out this wire that seems to be running down his arm, you know, kind of through his sleeve and so forth. I'll tell you what all that is about. This was not Burgess's idea in terms of getting his finger to light on fire. That was written into the scene. Now remember, in 1963, they didn't have CGI or anything like that. So how did they do this? Well, as I mentioned, there was a wire there, and it was for a reason. This wire went and connected to, off camera of course, to a battery. And the battery ran up his pants leg, through his shirt, and into his hand, and that's why we can see this wire here. Now what they did, they put his finger, yeah, his real finger, this is pretty nuts, into a coffee can, and they filmed it with ice water. Why is this important? Well, they made sure to get the ice water really cold so that he could dip his finger in there, and essentially it made his finger nearly numb. Now, it was important to get his finger good and cold, because then they poured lighter fluid over his finger, and then when he would snap his finger, which only is just shooting his finger out of his wrist, making that quick motion, they would hit the switch that was connected to the battery, which would create a spark and essentially ignite his finger. The lighter fluid would burn very quickly, and his finger wouldn't burn. It would just be for a few seconds, and his finger would literally be a few steps from being frozen, and so it wouldn't hurt and it wouldn't be burned. I know a lot of you may be out there and saying, Rick, this is impossible. They didn't really do this. Well, no, this is actually something that is still done in Hollywood today. I'll show you. This is footage from essentially a stunt show, a stage show at Universal Studios Hollywood, where they show you how they light actors on fire for scenes in movies without using CGI, and they do it in front of the audience, as you will see. They essentially cover this man in many patches or different areas of lighter fluid. He has very thick padding and clothing, and yes, there is skin exposed. What they do is they put this type of gel on his actual skin that will repel the flames, and it will keep him from burning from probably close to about 20 seconds. And you can see that he's lit on fire, and this is real fire. I've been there and you can feel the heat, and this man is truly on fire, and he doesn't burn one bit. It's all an act, and it's all controlled, well practiced. It's all professional stuff. And so going back to the actual video, this is a simpler form of that, where if you know, the lighter fluid essentially will burn, and he wouldn't feel his finger burning. He would get no real burns because it was so quick. He wouldn't let it burn there for too long. This is crazy in terms of why would anyone subject themselves to this? This is what they did in old Hollywood. No CGI. You just get it done to get the scene done. And my hat is off to Burgess Meredith. Did you know about this? Have you seen this episode? And what do you think? I mean, it's pretty cool just to see how they would do things in Hollywood, and some things stay the same. Of course, now there's more protection. There's all this fire gel and things like that. Back then, you just dipped your finger in frozen ice water. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for the support as always. We'll see you all next time, and don't forget everyone, always be hopeful. Thank you to all my supporters, especially my Diamond tier patrons: Russ C, Sally N, Vito L, Citizen Kane 359, David D, Jerry D, Jennifer P, and Kevin K. If you want to join this list and be a patron supporter, it does help out so much, and I thank you ahead of time.